Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts or other sorts of crafts and what it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 74 today, and we're just going to keep it simple today.
Yeah.
We really can't be too long because we have men in our life and children, and just getting ready with a lot of things. And we are actually just about to really get into some fun things. We have a bit of a haul and things that were given to us for the channel.
Yeah.
So we're gonna share those with you today, and we'll.
Yeah, starting out, we went to JoAnn's today.
Yes.
And we
needed that.
Yes, but we took the toddlers with us. So they had fun, but so did we. And
then we took them to Menards so that they could see the Halloween animatronics.
And they were just laughing and having fun. Yeah, they were having fun, poking fun at them, at the monsters.
Yeah, they think they're hilarious. Yeah. I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's the way to be. But so. My reason for going to JoAnn's today was because I needed another of the neutral color that I'm using on my blanket. It's the other colors are Mandalas, so they go through a variety of color. But this is my neutral, and I just decided to get a Karen 1 pound this time to try and maybe finish this blanket up. I'm not sure how.
Hopefully.
I might need another one, but I'm not sure. I'm just trying to figure this out, and I got it in the color Dove. So, I had the kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we both just remembered this. The kids decided that they wanted to fill the cart up with all kinds of different yarns. And all I'm trying to do is just find, one. And they filled the cart. And then they decided, well, we can put everything back too. So they did. It was fun.
They get on a bandwagon. They had so much energy. They wanted to be able to walk the store, and we said that would be fine. But we did grab a cart because her and I wasn't sure how wise that was going to be to not have one with them. And we're in the aisle. We're looking at the Karen yarn, and they find these yarns, like this whole entire box shelf of yarn. And they make it their mission to transfer said yarn to said cart. And JoAnn's carts are not that big to begin with. They're just meant to pick up a couple of things. And it's already hard enough to try to get kids in those. But when I say they loaded it,
they did.
It was a goal. And then I was like, well, look at that. Now it's time to put it back. And they're just yes!
So they both grabbed up the stuff that they could get, and they put it back into the box. It was a game for them, and it was fun. And
it really was fun.
Yeah.
And what I picked up while I was at JoAnn's is that
unfamiliar territory.
Okay, so listen.
At least on my part.
It's hard. It's hard being a lonely crafter in the middle of the night when you're on Pinterest and you're scrolling. You come prey to other things that you can do with your life, and it's really hard to make choices.
Yes. I can see that.
I fell victim
to the Pinterest trap.
We should make a whole entire video on the projects we've done just because of Pinterest.
Right, yeah, we should.
That should be a tag. Oh my god. But what I saw was perler beads, Perler beads. And what they are is they're little plastic beads that that on a plastic grid with little stands for all the beads to be threaded through. You can kind of do beads by color, kind of like paint by color, or like normally it's paint by number, but this is kind of the same equivalent. It's like the idea of having the diagram underneath this clear plastic grid that, like I said, has on every single little square piece underneath that said color has a little stand for the bead to fall into.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you're able to place the beads in said order on those little pegs with the diagram underneath it, and you can create this solid piece of of art or whatever it is by placing a really special towel that allows you to be able to iron these beads together, and it causes the beads to melt and fuse enough together because they're built for that to become one solid item.
Yes.
And similar to like corner to corner, cross stitch, granny squares, any sort of square making where you're sewing them together, you can make what's called pixel art. And that's kind of like most video games. There's other things that do pixels, but like any sort of like old video game, like retro video game, like Mario or whatever, did this. And they did everything by a pixel. So it's a little square, and they made shapes by that. And I have made things in this way where it's like I crochet little squares and then configure in the right pattern to create a set image. Pixel art. Again, cross stitch is pretty much that same equivalent. You're creating images with little blocks, little dots.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same thing with this, but it's solid. And I'm really interested in how these turn out. But I was on Pinterest, I saw this, I saw all these people making things out of these perler beads, like Mario's and Luigi's, and like almost whole levels of gameplay, like for magnets that you could create your own level on the refrigerator, to keychains. And this is for like Pokemon, Sonic, Zelda, Mario, all these different games, all these different things that also can form into pixels, like I don't know what was, like you can make coasters, you could make, okay, so like the little arrow or like arrow icon on your screen is a pixel thing, and like just like all these different things you don't even think go into that category. That was like being suggested to me on Pinterest once I got into this side of the internet, and I was so excited. And I knew I had seen it at JoAnn's, but I never stood long enough in the aisle to really like be consumed by it, because I did see kits for it,
right? But
I was like, I gotta focus, and it would always just move my head because I was like, I just gotta focus. This has now become my life. I just literally scrolled through my board, and my mom was just like, holy crap, Sarah, you have a lot of things saved. Because I just do this. I just find something, I know I'm going to do it, and so I just save every single possibility of that outcome. I've already gone on so many different sites, Amazon, different sites, looking for where these are, figuring out color schemes, how to do it, how best to get it done, ways that you can make this into maybe...
She's researched this whole thing.
Yes. And people make it into keychains, they make it into bookmarks, you can actually layer them to make them into a much more 3D object.
Or a mural.
Or like a showcase, or like, you can make bookends, you could make like... And it's like 2D art to 3D art. This is accessible to that. And it's really cool. And it kind of reminds me of the felt. Like, I loved making that dragon. And I want to make more felt stuff. But it's kind of that situation of like getting other materials to create a 3D thing, just like with my amigurumi or with the pillows or whatever, where it's like I'm able to create something that I love, and being able to celebrate or... be able to honor my interests by like video games or whatever it is. This was really good transfers into anime art and stuff like that, because a lot of that has this sort of shaping. Like, it's just going to be so much fun to be able to celebrate with people that have these same interests and hobbies.
Yes.
And entertainment in a craft, that I could potentially maybe sell some of this stuff, or even just like make things, gifts that I know are going to go well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it doesn't always have to be about the money, but it's like knowing that this is something that people would enjoy is already such a great thing.
Yes.
On top of the fact that I just am like, I just know people are going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to my mom on the way to JoAnn's, being like, I've been avoiding it. Like, for like a while, like almost a week or two, I've managed to like just stay away, because there was many nights that I just was going to instantly order, and I was like, no, I'm going to be wise.
Yeah.
The opportunity will come to me when it's the right time. And today ended up being the day, because I realized that I had a coupon and that it was going to be affordable. And this is just a taste. And that way I'll be able to see if I like it.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that sometimes a craft doesn't actually vibe with you. I've noticed that there are some crafts that require a certain level of dedication. Ooh, my apologies. State Farm. How rude. They should know better. Anyway, I have actually dealt with crafts that I loved how they turned out. I loved how they look and how they feel, but it did not jive with me.
Yeah.
Where it was like, this took too much out of me to be enjoyable, or to be something that inspired me to continue outside of this one project. So I'm hoping that this does actually vibe with me. So I'm glad I just got something this small. I could have gotten a whole bucket, but I think this was the right size.
Small? It's got 2004 pieces.
Well, anyway. So I picked up a Mario one. They had so many. They had like Star Wars and Zelda and like Avengers and Harry Potter, and like they just have these kits. And like I said, they look exactly like the pixel art and the video game play, and how to make all these different characters. And this is literally what they will look like when they're done, out of just beads. That on little templates, the templates are like this. You can get as many as you want to click together. It's probably gonna be hard, but you can see all the little dots. That's where the beads would be fitted on. And then up here, once you have them all on the mat, you then put the right, you put a paper down, you fuse them with the iron, and you have a solid piece of art left over. And it's just, I really think I'm gonna enjoy this. I was talking to my mom, things have been very stressful this week, and kind of
for the last 2 weeks actually, with Olivia's birthday party coming up.
Yeah, and it's just been one thing after another.
Yeah.
And I've been really just wanting a really decent distraction. Have I been working on my other projects? Of course I have. I've been trying to keep up with everything. I've been trying to keep up with the house and things I'm trying to get ready for the kids. And like, we went to the doctor's appointment today, and that's part of the reason that we were able to stop and treat ourselves to this. And I was very lucky that I had my mom to help me and the coupon, and my mom ended up helping me buy the little tweezers to do this. There's other means to do it than with tweezers to be able to put the beads in. They have like a bigger, it's like a dispenser that you can put the beads on top, and it narrows down, and the way that you click it, it allows for beads to fall into the tip to be able to place them. And it's very clever. It was just nice to be able to kind of have a feeling of like something to be kind of like reward yourself for just how hard these last couple of weeks have been. And I know I'm going to be able to really enjoy this. I probably will have all of them done by the time we get back next week. But it says 6 and older. A lot of them did. So I imagine like that you can just get kits outside of these. Like there was kits of just, here's ones for dogs and animals that kids can make, or just unicorns or whatever. Like it didn't have to be some name brand thing. Yeah. Perler does a whole bunch of, caters to a whole bunch of different interests. And I know that this has been around for a while. I know that heatable crafting has been something that has been going on for a long time, so it's nothing new, but I really think that it might be something that I enjoy. Yeah. And really get into kind of like your bead things. Yeah. The gypsy, the boho beads. Sorry. Yeah. Which goes into the next thing I have to show. My friend Serena was...
Hi, Serena.
I told her that we had this channel, and then at my daughter's birthday party, because it was happening here, my mom ended up talking with Serena and befriending her and even informing her more of what we do. And Serena this last week was like, you know, I'm super excited about watching you guys and all this stuff, and it's been really fun to see other crafters, because she's a really big crafter too. She has like a 3D printer and stuff. Like she does that sort of stuff. Yeah. But she's like, I have a lot of beads that I know I'm not going to use, and your mom was doing all these cool crafts with like the slow stitch and things that I think that these might be a good pass out to her. Would she take them? And I was like, we take donations. And so she gave us this bag with all these beads,
beautiful colors too,
and she just and some materials that she didn't have any use for anymore, and she gave it to you.
Isn't that nice? I love.
She was super excited. I gave it to her in the car, and she was just like, I got so much to do with this stuff.
Yes, I am excited about this. So, you've got your beads. I've got my beads, and we're going to figure out what we're going to do with all this. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're going to make beautiful things together.
Yes.
And my cousin Phyllis.
Hi, Phyllis.
Came over and visited with me and brought some knitting needles. So I'm going to hand them over to you.
This is perfect.
It is. So we are getting gifts.
Oh, they got double-ended needles.
Yeah. We're getting gifts from our subscribers now, so we're just really happy about that.
Thank you so much. This is going to be so helpful, because I know I'm going to end up making a whole bunch of knitting stuff, because I get more knitty into the colder season. Yeah. So this is going to be,
it's fun. We're having so much fun. So, on the scripture side of this video,
we're sitting here and we're kind of like talking about how rough the day has been, how kind of like we're still on the high of being able to get the stuff from the store, but we're also like relating to like everything that's been going on.
Olivia had 2 shots today. She chose to do it in her arm, and she didn't cry a bit.
Yeah,
she did not cry.
Yeah, she's 4. She just turned 4, and I told her she had to get shots yesterday. And she has a doctor doll that has a voice box, and the doctor was like, you got to get your shot, you got to get your medicine. And so she gave her Moana doll a shot and some medicine. And so she did that on her own.
She kept practicing.
And I literally just interjected, being like, hey, you're going to have to do that tomorrow, because I hadn't warned her about the doctor yet. So like, you're going to have to do that tomorrow. And she's like, oh, okay. Get to the doctor's office. I tell her in the car, hey, they're going to have to poke you with a needle or 2. It's just some medicine. It will be okay. Oh, okay. Get to the doctor. She gets through her visit. She's like, and she's kind of like sitting on the table waiting. She knows it's coming. And the doctor's like, you can get your little brother dressed. Olivia, you have to keep your clothes off because you're about to get some shots. Oh, okay. The nurse comes in and says, Olivia, you got to get some shots. The nurse was really bubbly, trying to diffuse any sort of tension. She's obviously done this for a while, you could tell. And she's like, so Mom, where do you want the shots to be? I'm like, no, ask Olivia. Olivia, where do you want the shots to be? And she's like, not the legs this time. Let's do the arm.
Yep.
And I was like, and she chose her arm. And then I was like, we're going to choose the arm that's going to be quickest for the nurse. Oh, okay. So she chose the one that was already facing out to the nurse. And the nurse did both needles on the same arm. And Olivia just wanted to watch. And she said, ow, both times. And she's like, okay. And I was like,
even when the doctor came in, she expected her to be crying, and she wasn't.
Yeah.
She says, wow, that was a really big girl.
Yeah. It was just one of those things where it was like, things like that can easily be simple.
Yeah.
And me and my mom just kept talking about all day, just being like, why do things have to be so complicated?
Yeah.
Not everything has to be so complicated. We can just make things easier if we're not doing XYZ. And we're just having a personal conversation. We're not going to bring it up here, but...
Well, one of the complications was I was supposed to drive today.
Yeah.
My car did not want to start.
Yeah.
So we ended up taking her car and going the long way to the doctor's office, which was very pretty and very nice, but it was a complication.
Reason being, my car can't get past 60 without shaking. So I wasn't going to take the...
over 20 years old. It's getting old.
So when my mom asked me to find a Bible verse for today, I'm looking through her book because she has a whole bunch of sayings and Bible verses written down in this little notebook that we've been pulling from. I literally
laughed right out loud.
I was laughing so hard I hadn't even read it out loud to my mom yet, and
the verse is, God made us plain and simple, but we have made ourselves very complicated. Yep. Ecclesiastes 7:29.
This is
Isn't that the truth of the day?
This is like the most Captain Obvious verse of the Bible. Like if the Bible had a commercial, this is what...
God made us plain and simple, but we have made ourselves very complicated.
I feel like that could be a summary of the whole entire Bible.
Yes. Yes. It's so true.
World history lesson in just one verse.
Yep. I had told Sarah earlier today.
Something along the same line. It was like word for word.
Yeah.
You said something like, why do things have to be so complicated when everything is generally so simple? Like she said that.
Yeah.
And so when I read it, I was like, oh, my mom must have written this down and just referred to it earlier. And then I saw the Bible verse and I just died.
But I was just like, oh, you know, people have a way of dividing and dividing and dividing and dividing, and God in the Bible has told us to multiply. So we're doing the complete opposite of what he told us to do.
Yeah.
And we're making it complicated when he made it very simple.
Yep. The truth is that and like a clarification. This verse is based in Ecclesiastes, the book in which King Solomon is talking about the wisdom that he has learned after he received his gift from God about wisdom. And he made a lot of revelations that really hit him hard. Like major revelations that he had to write down to kind of free up his mind. And this was one of them. Mm-hmm. God made us plain and simple, but we have made ourselves very complicated. It is not to say that God has made us to be superficial creatures, meaning that everything is on the surface.
Right.
It is just to say that when you dig deeper, our needs are very, not basic, but just, they're reasonable.
Yeah.
Our emotions get big, and then we deflect and we blame and we point our fingers instead of just addressing the things that are within our power and defining what our actions were compared to what has happened.
Yeah.
And how we can try to make things right. And, you know, I've been learning about what is called the locus of control, which is when we externalize, we have a tendency of feeling that things are happening to us that we have no control. Right. That our environment around us is what is influencing how we feel, and we have no control. And because we feel like we have no control of our environment, we are much more manipulated by it, and much more we're much more kind of just on the surface frustrated, easily to be ticked off, easily to be like just manipulated, easily to feel like and nothing's within our control. So then we get desperate, paranoid, all these different things. And there's other things that it can imply, but externalizing tends to do that to people, whereas internalizing allows us to realize that our control is within ourselves and how we perceive things, and how we are able to recognize our actions compared to what is happening to us, and how we can react compared to what it wants, how it wants us to react.
Right.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, just like this, it's like, it can be really simple. We can recognize what was within our control. We can identify the things that are not in our control, and we can try to figure out how to solve this problem.
Right.
Or we can make it complicated.
Right.
And throw blame, and they will throw blame back, and it will make everything so jumbled that it's like, I think about like Inside Out, where they're on the train of thought, and facts and opinions get knocked over and jumbled together, and the imaginary friend's like, oh, don't worry, this happens all the time, and just starts throwing stuff back into the boxes, being like, we get so caught up in so many things that it's like little things that domino into being so complicated, instead of recognizing how simple and really obvious things really are.
And when you make your life simple, it's a lot easier on your emotions.
Yeah. And like a good example, my mom has been reading a lot of financial books, and I'm really kind of getting into it as I'm starting to become a little bit more not in control, but much more of the budgeter in our family. My husband is a natural saver, but he never has sat down to just do the budget, and so it sometimes stresses him, and that's absolutely normal. He's our provider, and obviously he's very much wanting to make sure that everything is
where it needs to be
happening
yes.
well.
Yes.
And I appreciate everything that he does, and so I've kind of taken on the burden of being like, I'll make sure the bills are paid, I'll create budgets, if we have goals, I'll help us meet those goals, I'll help us satisfy things. And I've been looking into budgeting and looking into how to do that, and the math for it, and then like looking into investments and things like that to be able to be like, okay, how can we make this happen, or what are so-called like little hustles that I can do even on the side, where as a stay-at-home mom I can still make money. What do I have to do legally to not be in any sort of problem with the government if I were to do that? It'd just be easily. Luckily, our tax lady is a text away, and so she'd be able to give us something. It's like after making a profit of $500, they want to start taxing you. Yeah. So I could do like a 1099, but it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're intentional, and you're mindful, things are genuinely simple and plain. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Exactly.
People can get greedy. We can get gluttonous. We can really want to be consumers and deal with, we sometimes don't realize that things are not what makes us happy.
Right.
But just like what we always talk about, our crafts are a good way to recenter. Our way of life, the way that we decide to be problem solvers, really help. Like my mom, finances is one of her things too. So she's just reading up on it. She figures that she'll find something or glean from people who have done it before her. Same with me. I love to read about mental health and how to stay on top of that. And it helps me feel like I'm prepared. you know, if reading's not your forte, there are other ways to consume information with podcasts and radios and blogs or anything where it's
YouTube.
like YouTube. And it's like we can just sit down, listen to something and do our craft.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Learning is key.
And it's just being willing to learn.
Yes.
And being willing to know that things are simple and plain and obvious if we take the time to be willing to be taught.
Yeah.
Because otherwise things get
complicated.
So we are doing a short video today. Obviously we're at 30 minutes. We're going to call it quits now. We didn't have a lot to show and we didn't talk very long today, but we hope that it was good for you, whoever the listener is that, you know, is possibly doing their craft while they are listening to us. We just kind of need a simple day today.
Yeah. And if you want to leave a comment, we're willing to read through them and comment back. And give us a like and a subscribe if you want to. So
thumbs up and thank you.
Thank you,
Serena.
For watching. Yes.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Yes.
And thank you to crafting in general. Thank you, God.
And JoAnn's.
And again, the verse is Ecclesiastes 7:29. God made us plain and simple, but we have made ourselves very complicated.
And I'll leave it in the description.
We hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And as always, we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.